This episode is brought to you by the RVA Podcast Network. Find more information at rvapodcast.org.
We do not own the rights to anything or any music that's heard during the duration of this podcast. Also, a lot of these shows will have explicit content. So if you are not a fan of any cursing or profanity, you may want to walk away, but that does not mean that every show will consist of such.
Welcome to season 6 of The Pass, BT. Didn't think we'd get here, but here we are. Show going a bit of a different direction, as you may have noticed near the end of season 5. Sports is still a thing, but not as much. You'll get more information about what's going on in the tech world, what's going on in the music world. We actually have kind of gotten rid of Ass of the Week. Once in a while, you may get one here and there, but I still want to stick with the main gist of passing the message to you all. So take your time, but don't waste your time as you sit and enjoy a new season of The Pass with your host, BT. It really seems like forever since I've sat down and turned on the mic and talked, which it hasn't. It's only been 3 weeks, because I think the last recording I did was on October 3rd. So we back. I'm bringing it back to where it all started, unintentionally, but intentionally, and we're just kind of rolling with it. Title fits the mood. Thoughts will be off the wall. They will be very sporadic. I will tell you in advance, not much to report, but a lot to share. I hope everyone's doing well, by the way. I'm not, as you can see, I'm not doing the intro to the number. I'm not giving you the angel number. We're just going to chop it up and talk about a couple things. Because a lot of life has been life, and a lot of assessments and reflections have happened. Since our last video, since our last recording, I have made some changes or done some things with what I'm trying to work on. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. So number one, I'm working on a financial challenge, which has been not the easiest. And I'll tell people in advance, this is not for the weak at heart. Also, if you are, if you have bills and you got life, don't feel compelled to do what I'm doing, because I went into the first 10 days and just coasted. Now it's kind of like a marathon, more than a sprint. At first, so basically, to kind of give it an idea, it is a PDF file that has 4 groups of 4 pieces of pies on the page. And what you're basically doing is you're saving a certain amount. So you'll do it the savings amounts are in increments of 2. So for instance, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. And it continues all the way up to 200. And if you save these amounts, when you're done, you should end up with $10,000. Now, let me give context. Let me give some reality to this. You do not have to do this every day. I know I just said that, but I want to emphasize this because it is important to not feel like you have to do it a certain way. 2, and I've seen people do it this way, and I think it's all about what works for you. You do not have to do it in the form of saving cash. If you want to do it in cash form, that's totally fine. I'm doing mine by actually doing savings transfers. And as a friend of mine, we talked about this a couple of months ago. I'm learning how to pay myself. So if you aren't already doing this, then like I said, a lot of this is going to be where you been? But for me, it's new things, stuff that I'm beginning to learn. And one of those things that I'm learning, which is new, is when I get paid, pay myself. So that payment to myself looks like I basically have taken a certain amount and have it set as an automatic transfer each pay period. And what I'm doing right now, so far it's working, which is doubling the amount each pay period, or every month, I guess you could say. So I just did the first set of it a couple of weeks ago, and I'm doing another 2 of the new amount. And what I'm going to do is update that amount, probably double it, or either I may do an increment on my next paycheck. Just kind of, like I said, kind of just making small progress in getting into a habit of just saving and having money aside. Because let's face it, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at all. So I'm just thinking ahead and just kind of being more aware of how to like budget and how to manage funds. This podcast will be very chill. And why I'm saying this will be chill is because I was able to experience my fair share of activities in the last few weeks from our last recording. And I guess it actually kind of timed itself pretty fluid, because I did my recording on that Monday, and at the end of that same week, and you know what, this might be a good talking without a talking, because I've been vocal socially, but I've been quiet socially. And one of my friends, a couple of people who know me know, like, if I'm not talking, it's some ish and it's some stuff going on. So I will address things, not be subliminal, but be clear and intentional with where I'm going with everything. So first and foremost, let me get the fun out of the way. So like I said, at Monday, I did the podcast. The end of that week, or on that Saturday, I attended Virginia Union's homecoming. Now, anyone who knows me knows there's not much that I'm going to do if I don't have to, but I'm also like, hey, if you got an opportunity, take it, along with the fact that it honestly, since last year, was my first Saturday off, because I worked every single Saturday that I've been employed with my company. And I probably already said the company on here, but if not, so be it. But it's important to talk about this or address it, because I can definitely say the experience of tailgating, I have a different look about tailgating in school. And it's nothing negative before anyone even thinks that. So both Virginia State and Virginia Union had their tailgate on that Saturday. And I had heard a couple people talk about how it would go down or what it's going to look like for Virginia State. And being brutally transparent and being upfront and honest, the last time I went to a tailgate for Virginia Union, I think I had just graduated high school. So at that time, I really didn't, I understood it, but I didn't understand it. And also, this was at the time when they were doing the Gold Bowl, which, as many people know, that's not really a thing anymore. So when I got to the tailgate, I was a little delayed, and I made my parking and process of everything way more than what it should have been. And that's on me. That's my accountability. That's me needing to basically face the music, which it happens. But to add to it, I then, I eventually got to where everything was going on, and I checked it out. I chilled. got to kind of, I brought my chair, had a couple drinks, connected with the vibes, really enjoyed it. Now, I was on the side of tailgating where everyone kind of had it was like multiple people DJing, and I was in the initial experience of homecoming. Keep in mind, now let me give context, because I'm learning how important context is and perspective. I have never attended a university with a homecoming. Like I went to ECPI. ECPI does not have homecomings. There's not like a team we play against or compete against unless we're competing in a PC gaming event or something. And I don't even recall or would even know when those have or have not happened. So it's a much different ball game. That being said, there's the tailgating where folks are just chilling and it's like a, legit vibe. And then there's the yard. Now, I've heard of and I know about the reference of the yard, but I did not realize the yard until I went over to see the yard in action. Deltas, aka Zetas, Grooves, all you, I guess you can call them the Divine Nine. I think that's what it's called. All of the frats and sororities were there. There were DJs doing mixes. There was a good amount of food being sold. There was a selfie booth in the AKA section. And it was just good because everybody was there just to have a good time with each other. Like, my friend who invited me, and I kind of carried a running joke with him as far as he became the new, and I won't say the person's name. And actually, the person who invited me, he's been on the show before. So Wyatt, if you're listening, hands down, enjoyed it. Enjoyed the event. Enjoyed the experience big time. But when he walked around, it gave me the understanding of the previous time when I had gone. And it was every couple steps he would see somebody, hey man, what's going on? And it was a few steps, hey, it was good. And it was like that the entire time. It was that way a little bit when we were on the initial side, but when we went to the other side and actually was on the yard, it was everybody knew everybody. It's literally the epitome of family. Now, like I said, I don't know how States works. Never gone to Virginia State for any activities or events. The only time I've been to State, and I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, is there was a basketball game that occurred at their court, and I want to say it was 10. It was either 10 or 15. But one day it was a very inexpensive game, but you got to see 4 games, which you can't beat that. And I think what was dope about it, because at the time, like I said, if I've told this story, you can fast forward a little bit, but Frank Mason was playing for Petersburg, and Frank Mason was one of the big stars here in Virginia, or in Richmond for that matter. And they were playing against John Marshall, and it was you saw another switch for Frank Mason in the fourth quarter, where it was kind of the other players knew all right, get out of the way, let Frank do his thing, which is basically what happened. But yeah, like I said, I saw a couple videos. I saw a couple of guys from the yard. I saw State's yard, but Virginia Union's yard, I was literally there, processing everything that was going on. I had a good time. It was just okay, what's next? What do you do? Who do you run into? Who do you talk? It was so bad to the point where I saw someone I knew. We chopped it up for a minute because he was talking about he needed some work on a website, which, by the way, if you're looking to do any graphic or website work, rely on BOT LLC. I definitely can help you with any graphic or web design needs. I want to go ahead and do that plug early. But I saw him, And by the time I turned around, the people who I was with, I had lost them that fast. And I was like, oh my gosh, where'd they go? So I was like, I'm not about to sit here and like walk through people and try to figure out where they might be or where I think they are. So I waited in a certain spot, and then I eventually found where he was and found the rest of the group. And we stood there and chilled for a bit. And it was, like I said, it was very enjoyable. Like, I really can say that was an experience that cannot be recreated. Speaking of recreated, I was able to, which I'm working hard on this. So any of my fellow business owners who are Black owned that are selling merchandise or selling anything, if I don't buy from all of you or I don't pick up things as they occur, by all means, be patient. Hold it to my head, not my heart. I'm working much harder on that. But a friend of mine, one of my coworkers, he has a brand, which I've talked about I've known about his brand. I've been aware of his brand, but I was like, I haven't bought anything from him, so let me pay it forward. So he has you may as well call it like a suit. It's like a hoodie and sweatpants set. I just bought the hoodie because I know hoodie season is like here. And before anybody asks, no, I don't have any hoodies available. No, I'm not interested. I'm saying it like that, but reality is like, if the right person came along, hey, all bets are off. But in all realness, like, I was able to get a hoodie from him. His brand is called Seek Ye First. And I will be sure to put the Instagram page as well as the website in the show notes. So I'd ordered the hoodie a couple weeks ago, and when I ordered it, shipping took a little while, but he was like, hey, I didn't know it had taken a while, my bad. I was like, you're fine. Like, I'm not one of those consumers that's like, I ordered this and I'm expecting it. Look, I know how I can go, because when you're a seller of a product and you're relying on other, I don't know how can I say this, other outlets or other companies to get your product out, and if something isn't in line with it being sent out or being processed, that can put a snag in things, which it happens all the time. So I didn't like get bent out of shape, because it wasn't even that deep, especially for me. So got that, had a good experience with that. Received the hoodie, really nice hoodie. It is definitely one that I will be wearing frequently and often. I wore it this past Wednesday, and I wore it this past Friday. Trying to blend and mix, because I still have another friend of mine who I wear hers. It's called a Creative somewhere. But I have her hoodie as well, that I'm wearing. So I'm trying to get more involved. I got my friend who is a notary, Grand Nuvid, been supporting her brand as well. I will make sure I put, links in the notes for everyone who I'm talking about right now. So yeah, that's that on that. I'm gonna do something a little unorthodox, but me at the same time. I'm gonna do a trifecta check-in real quick with you all from the main three. Mind, body, and spirit. Mind is at about a 7. Body has gotten to about a 6, like a 5 or a 6. And I'm gonna give an update about that, because a lot of people I haven't really talked about this at all to anybody. And my spirit's at about a 8, 7 or 8. Not gonna lie. My spiritual connection, my spiritual well-being, my spiritual sanity, spiritual balance has been very well versed and well tested, but I'm able to overcome the odds where necessary. I'll put it that way. Before I talk about body, let me give another update. I have started therapy. I've talked to a friend of mine who has really, been helping me to get more aware of, checking in with myself and making sure, like, if you need to talk to somebody, have that space, things of that nature. Along with the fact that my outlets have changed for the better. Like I'm not, and I'm saying this on my podcast. So if anybody hears this and they take this to heart, sorry, but I will no longer be free therapy. And I should not be free therapy because, one, I'm not a therapist. And two, some problems that you have or some things that are going on are at a therapeutic level that I personally cannot provide. I tried to go as long as I could, but I couldn't do it. So, sorry, y'all gonna have to just catch this fan and be okay with it. That's kind of loud, though. I'm gonna work something out. I got an idea what I'm gonna do, but I'm not gonna do it right now. But yeah, just doing therapy has been, like, I did my first session actually last week. I'm doing another one on Halloween, which before anybody even goes into it, I don't really have like a push or press about celebrating, not celebrating this year. It's kind of another blip on the calendar. Oddly enough, I'm off that day anyway, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. I am starting, I don't want to say a weight loss journey, but I'm working harder to do things to enhance my routine. So getting out, going walking, eating different, trying not to just eat the first thing or not put enough motion or effort behind what I'm working on. I'm putting those things to the forefront because at first I wasn't, and now I'm realizing like I need to, for the sake of myself. Like it is just not beneficial at all what I've been trying to do. I said I was gonna talk about this, so I'm gonna circle back to it real quick. I'm not gonna be able to support everybody the way they want to be supported, and this is not about free therapy. This is not about being subliminal. This is not about trying to put on a front. This is just speaking from where I'm at right now. Making connections and being in a space to connect with people is one of the greatest feelings in the world. Being put in the middle of trying to connect the dots, and then sometimes the dots just don't connect, is one of the most challenging things in the world. My support has been as supportive as it can be for those who have been supportive for me. And I'm willing to do what I can, but I'm not going to do more than I need to, because at the end of the day, I have to show up for myself. That's been like my number one thing. And like I had a conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, and we kind of had like the realistic truth of, we've put so many people in front of us and then we put ourselves last, and we're catching the wrath of it. And I'm at a point now where it ain't cool. It's never been cool, but now it really ain't cool. So I'm working harder on not being last in what I need to do. So if I make an event, and like I said, I'm not even putting names, I'm not putting any, throwing shots at anybody. And like I said, the people who I'm even referring to or addressing about this may not even hear this podcast, which is fine. But things that I normally would attend, I may not attend. I've said this because it's clear and it's concise. I really have a business that I'm trying to run. And I mean, I've put money into it, like hundreds, if not thousands of dollars so far. And the money that I'm putting into it isn't showing on the opposite end for what I'm getting out of it. So it's me now knowing like, bro, you gotta put the effort behind it. Like even like after this recording, there's more time that I need to put on the skills and the abilities of what I would like to do, because it's unmet or unmatched opportunities out there that I'm just not even touching the surface on. So we're going to, like I said, all of that will come in time. But my activities and my actions will be on my terms, not feeling like I'm obligated or like I need to show up or have to. If I can make it, I make it. If I don't, it ain't nothing personal. It's just life is life. And so that's that on that. I don't know if this is the space to share this, but I will share it because it is what it is. I've talked with a few people about this already. I've kind of made this a conversation and or topic before, but I think it's now time for me to push this as a real thing. And that is to help people's productivity. I've probably talked about this on 353, but I'm really putting more focus behind really connecting people's skill set as to what they're trying to do and forcing the accountability to come to the forefront. And most importantly, as my friend Anisha and I have talked about, who, by the way, Anisha, if you listen to this podcast, I need you on the episode. I don't care how we do it or how, if it's got to be done virtually, I don't care. After you've had the little one, congratulations to my latest, newest nephew. So I know I'm gonna look forward to coming and joking and having fun with him and all that jazz. But yeah, after you get situated and after things kind of move a little bit, yeah, we need to do a podcast. Like, I know you got yours that you're working on too, so I haven't forgotten about that either. But yeah, just something to think about. I don't know if I got anything else that I want to talk about yet. Microsoft did a soft relaunch. Well, not a relaunch, but a soft launch of some products that are coming. And many of them look pretty promising. I don't have any links for any of them because, like I said, I've been back and forth, and it's been very indifferent as to whether I really have wanted to sit down and chop up or unpack a podcast. Because I'm like, I know I can record. I know I can sit down and get some thoughts out, but do I really have any topics to get into? And it's fluctuated time and time again. So, maybe on our next episode, I will bring those topics to the forefront. And this might become a thing, because I think this might be like my perfect sweet point to just get up, record a show, and bring y'all up to speed on what's going on with me, with life, with my routine, things of that nature. Message I'm going to pass along is find your way to do it. I shared this with someone yesterday, and she's going to try it. Everyone is always like, I've watched a video today or yesterday that talked about the Pomodoro technique. And a lot of you, if you've been on my page or you've been following me through the past BT pod, through Brightic 1982, you've heard me talk about, or you've seen some rendition or topic about Pomodoro. Now, the problem is people think Pomodoro is one specific way to do time management or time blocking, which is invalid. It is very false, and we need to get ourselves out of that theory or ideology that it is. Well, Brian, what do you mean by that? Traditional way that people talk about it is 25 and 5 or 30 and 5, whatever works for you. Where you do 25 minutes of work, you take 5-minute breaks. After your fourth session of 25 minutes, you take a 15-minute break. That may not work for you. You may need to work and push through harder, because some people want to work through and get more things done, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That then means that you have to work your routine according to that, which then means you may need to do a different time frame. The time frame, people, the internet does this, where it's like studies will show a lot of things, but what do you find working for you, right? That's really what's more important. Like I've found, and most people have seen me or heard me talk about it, Things 3 has become my to-do list application. Special shout out to you for that one, because That is an app that when I first got it, I used it, but I didn't understand it. Granted, I still am probably using it at most about 30 to 35%. I'm not even going into the, I haven't even set up, what is it? Not this. It is, because there's a certain thing that you can set up. Like you can do project. So there's like, I haven't done any projects. I haven't done any areas. They're listed, but I haven't really worked them into my space yet for Things 3. Because right now I'm just kind of at the base level of putting tasks in, setting it up so that each day different tasks once completed will repeat. And that's been very helpful. That's been very strategic, big time, or weekly. Either daily, some things will repeat daily, some will repeat weekly, and I'm learning how to like get in the habit of doing that. Like one thing I need to add on here is like workout and or walk. Working out just could be me getting down, because I have like a mat, I have like the leg rolling joint, all of that, and I just need to set up my mat, allot some time in the day, and just start working on different workouts for what I'm doing as far as trying to lose weight. But yeah, find your thing that works for you, because like I've told people this all the time, I'm beginning to accept that digital is my bag. One of my friends, her and I, we haven't talked in a minute, but when we had a conversation about it one time, she was saying like she's a digital girl in the digital world, which I fully get, because as a techie, that's my way of my go-to, because it's worked for me and it's much more convenient. Pen and paper becomes beneficial because it's more available, because with digital, you have to unlock the device, you got to find the app, you got all of these steps. Pen and paper, open a page, start writing. Simple. But the thing becomes, what are you writing? What are your steps? And as I talked about earlier, are you being intentional? And are you doing it with the right intentions? So if my Android people, do not take my head off. I don't know the default to do or task app, but using your default task app, using your default calendar, and this is iPhone and Android, using your default task app, which is for iPhone is reminders, finding your default note taking app. I universally will always go back to, if you have access to it and can do it, if you have a Gmail account, go into Gmail and look at what you have access to. The Google Workspace or Workshop, like the suite, you have a lot of applications that you have access to that you don't use. For instance, on Google, on your Google profile, you have, obviously everyone knows you have Gmail. Most people know you have Calendar. Most people don't know that you have a note-taking app called Google Keep. I tried Google Keep before, didn't really stick with it. Somehow Evernote started acting funny with some of their stuff that it was their business practice. And I'm talking about this vocally on my page, on my podcast, because I'm in that space. But Evernote's business strategy or business marketing process did not do it. Because what they were saying, which I understand, you're saying you want people to have Evernote. If you have the free version, you can use it on 2 devices. Your phone is likely going to be a device. Cool. Most times, like for me, my second device was my iPad. Well, they said, well, the iPad can't be used as a device because your second device will be considered the web. If you're using the web-based version of Evernote, then that's your 2 devices. And I was like, wait, that makes no sense at all. So they lost business from me over a year ago because of that. And it happens. I mean, such is life. But it was just very interesting how all that went down. I know I said I was supposed to pass the message and be done, but I'm kind of giving some insights on some other options too. Keep your finding a good note-taking application, finding a good task managing application. Google Tasks works just fine. If you have access to it and your company offers it, Microsoft Tasks is pretty good. Using your default reminders app or your task app on Android works fine. Trying to think of what other things you can do. Oh, and I'm gonna share this and then we're gonna wrap it up. If you take notes by hand, most of us do, and you need an alternative, you need to get those notes in a digital form, the easiest way that most of us can do it, and we never think to do it, take pictures of the pages. Take pictures of the pages and save them in a folder or save them somewhere that you'll know where they're located on your phone. Every phone, I don't care if it's Android or iPhone, has photos that are saved in folders. So if you have a folder that's called Brain Dump Notebook, like I have a notebook that I keep with me all the time for doing brain dumps. If I'm using that notebook to write down, like handwrite notes, then I want to be sure that I'm writing notes down to benefit my uploading them to a platform so that it's much more convenient than just having them there. And then, because I mean, you think about it like this, something like you carry the notebook somewhere, pages get washed or something, and the pages are like, the book gets messed up. You can't recover those notes themselves, but if you have them saved on like a device, any other device to take pictures of them, there are multiple apps. I can't think of any of them offhand, but there are different apps that can take your pages that you've written in and kind of almost compose it into like a PDF or into like a booklet, so that you have them all together and stored, and you can store them wherever you want to save them. So just use those resources. We're near the end of October. 3 things I want to get into, and then we'll wrap up, because I know I said I was going to pass a message and we're done. But keep in mind, it is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Check your action. Make sure you good. If you're not good, take care of your body. And I've been sharing posts for these, but I'm going to definitely make sure I get better with this. But Cybersecurity Awareness Month is in October. So any of those little tech things that you think don't make sense, some of them might surprise you as to how beneficial they are and how helpful it could be towards your data. So please don't just do things like a friend of mine. I may need to message her today, because a lot of times, like those, for instance, the Facebook quizzes, those are the quickest ways for people's accounts to get hacked. And I think we sometimes don't realize it, because, I'm just putting in my information and it's just going to give me some results. And then with those results, I'll be able to share this online. Like, your favorite thing is this, so because you like this, the information they give you is super minutia based, but the information you've given will be useful down the line, whether you realize it or not. So just be more aware of that, because it's definitely one of those, it can be one of those things without being one of those things. So just remember that today. All right. But as always, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Thank y'all for sticking with me. Closer and closer, as I've said, I did post this a few days ago. We're getting closer and closer to the 400th episode, and I'm pretty excited about that. But until next time, this is the Paz signing out, and BT will catch y'all in the next episode. Peace. Well, that was definitely a fun show. I hope you all learned something. I hope you all gained some information either about myself or about yourselves, because I know with the message that's passed along, it's usually meant to do a little bit of reflection, maybe some shadow work, not sure, all about your niche or lane. But I want to take time and utilize this section to share. Thank you to anyone who has taken time to listen to the show, to subscribe to the show, to leave any comments, to leave any feedback. If you want to leave any information, the pastbtpod@gmail.com. Podcasts are uploaded using Buzzsprout, probably one of my favorite platforms to be on. And to all my artists, if you know that you have a gift, share that gift with the rest of us, because we're waiting. Until next time, this is the Past signing out. Peace.